4. Okay, so question 4, here's the question. Matthew Scott writes about Jumbo in a way that shows feelings of pride and affection for the elephant. To what extent do you agree? You should comment on what the writer says and how he says it. Okay, so remember, the focus of the question is pride and affection. So that's all you're going for in this question. Anything that isn't to do with pride or affection or him having love for the elephant will get a 0. So keep focused on the question. Also, be very aware, question 4 can be a little bit sneaky, where they normally give you 2 types of question 4. So first of all, the one I just shown you, so that's a kind of question 4, where they give you a statement from a myth, from like a made-up student, and they say, do you agree? And the second way they could pull it for option B is, what do you think and feel about Matthew's view, Scott's about the elephant? And if you get that one, you just say, I think Matthew thinks this about the elephant because, and then explain it. So those are the 2 ones you can get. Okay, so we'll stick with the one I was going to give you. It's really important that question, you just realise question 4 is basically the counterpart to question 2, but it's just on the other extract. Okay, so this question 4, I could easily turn it into a how question just by going, how does Matthew Scott show he has feelings of pride and affection for the elephant? The only difference is for question 4, you need to agree with the question. So you don't need to agree all the way through, but maybe just as like an intro sentence, say, I agree with the statement that Matthew Scott feels pride and affection for the elephant. Okay, so here's the extract. If you want to pause it, you pause it, because even though I'm rabbiting on, I'm trying to keep this relatively brief. So hopefully, if you want to see that, again, the exam paper is in the comments, it is in the info, hopefully. So go through it and try to highlight anything or write down any quotes that show you his pride and affection for Jumbo. 10 marks. Here are my ones. Again, if you want to pause the video or take a screenshot, then do. I'm going to go through them. Okay, so the quotes I picked out show that the writer, or the Matthew Scott, has affection for Jumbo. He calls him a fine-looking creature in a perfectly sound state of mind and body, the largest, most intelligent, the most powerful living creature in creation, a pleasure to me and is a great reward. Jumbo has been a busy, industrious creature all his life. No animal ever did his work more affectionately or tenderly and without accident. I saw Jumbo deliberately and coolly putting his trunk around the body of an infant that had escaped. He just stopped right there, gently picking up the child by the waist of his trunk and laid it beside its screaming mother, more tenderly than the mother afterwards. He calls it a kind, affectionate creature. And he also says, remember, when you see anyone in trouble, you should go to the rescue. Remember that Jumbo did the same thing. So those last 2 quotes in black were basically about that this little kid got away from his mum right in front of Jumbo's path, and he didn't sort of tread on it, or he didn't like freak out. He was very like tender, very caring. He managed to sort of really gently pick up the kid and bring him back to his mum. Okay, same again for question 2. There will be in a human dictionary, pick out certain words and say what they mean. So, okay, the first quote we're going to zoom in on is a fine-looking creature in a perfectly sound state of mind and body. If you notice, I've highlighted perfectly, but I've left off the ly. So what does perfect mean? Again, if we look it up, if someone says to you, that is perfect, your work is perfect, that person is perfect, what does it mean? Well, it probably means complete, flawless, ideal, impeccable, absolute, faultless. Okay, so let's put that into an answer. I agree. So remember, I need that little introduction. I agree. Scott writes about Jumbo in a way that shows his pride and affection for the elephant. And now I'm going to zoom into perfectly. He says Jumbo was in a perfectly sound state of mind and body. This tells the reader he thought Jumbo was faultless and flawless. Again, just the synonyms for perfect. And then I'm going to zoom into fine looking. Okay, and I'm going to say, well, what does fine looking mean? It basically means that the elephant looks good, doesn't he? So I put fine looking means he thought Jumbo was impressive physically. Okay, next quote, the largest, most intelligent, the most powerful living creature in creation. Again, if you're intelligent, what are you? So you're brilliant, you're talented, you're inspired, you're skillful, you're gifted. Let's put another one you could zoom in on that quote is most powerful. Yeah, so again, what does powerful mean? Mighty, strong, vigorous, robust, forceful. Okay, so if I put that into an answer, I've got Scott shows his pride and affection for the elephant with the quote. He thinks Jumbo is talented and gifted while also being strong physically. And I've zoomed into the word most, and the most emphasizes it, almost says it's the best, doesn't it? So again, yellow is my question, green is my quote, blue is my explanation. A kind, affectionate creature. So, okay, so again, be a human dictionary. What does the word kind mean? What does affectionate mean? So kind, we could use words like ideal or nice or dreamy or thoughtful. And affectionate, we have loving, fond, tender, friendly, caring. Yeah. So I put Scott, really simple one, this one. Scott shows his affection by describing Jumbo as a kind and affectionate. He thinks the elephant is loving, sweet and caring. Another quote, he calls Jumbo a pleasure to me and a great reward. So, okay, again, what is a pleasure? Okay, it's probably something that is a joy, delightful, yeah, amusement, happy. If you have pleasure, you enjoy something. And reward, so what is reward? It's almost like a trophy, isn't it? Or like a trophy or something you get when you do something well. It's almost like a nice thing, isn't it? Okay, so I put Scott shows his affection by describing Jumbo as a pleasure, a great reward. Jumbo made Scott happy and he enjoyed spending time with the elephant. That's pleasure. Now let's zoom into reward. He calls their experience a great reward. He's almost comparing his time with Jumbo to winning a prize of some kind. Okay, so here they all are again. And then I've got one more with the quote, deliberately and coolly. So I'm explaining that one where Jumbo saved the little kid. And I put, he shows his pride by describing Jumbo saving an infant who had left their mother. Deliberately and coolly tells us he feels Jumbo intentionally and non-aggressively saved the child from danger.